Earnestly podcast, coming to you actually from the road at about 11:30 in the afternoon, well, in the morning, should I say, almost afternoon. I don't typically record a lot on the road. I actually used to a couple years ago, and then just really just stopped doing it because quality, number one, and I used to be pretty big on quality and how it sounded and stuff, but it was convenience. And today, to do this podcast, it's still a convenience to me to do it here on the road. I say all the time that it's, having, life, married life, kids, and all that. It saps your energy. It saps the amount of time you have to invest in things you love. And I'm not complaining about it, like I said, but that is a reality of the situation. So, it does get tough. And, when I change my schedule to daytime, and I spoke about this on the podcast about a month or two ago, which is a great thing, by the way. I love the fact that I'm able to, have a kind of a reset. The one thing I did say that did suffer was the amount of time I have to record podcast. And I like to do a lot, at least typically about 3 to 4 a week. I like to do between 2 and 4 a week, anyway. And, a lot of times when I used to record my shows, I would record it in the morning before I go to work at night, because I had that time. And that's gone now because I go to work, daytime. So, but, again, you find the time to do things that you're able to do, the things you love. And, by the way, I apologize if you can hear the background. I'm on I-95 right now, so I can't really, unfortunately, this is life here. I'm on the way to work, so when I put out content, I just gotta do what I gotta do. So I do have the time to do it. You just have to create the time to do the things that you are passionate about. And so for years, I'm passionate about podcasting. I love podcasting. I've been doing this now for almost a decade, and I still love it. So you do what you gotta do. So I'm doing it. But anyway, I wanted to react, I guess, talk about the New Hampshire primary last night. Like, you guys already know, I am a big political honk. Obviously it may annoy some of the listeners of the podcast who don't care about politics. That's fine. You have your right to feel that way. But I've always been fascinated with the political sphere, on both sides, not just Democratic, but also Republican side too. Since I was a child, I'm a big American history buff, so it's part of the whole, coup de grace of politics. And it's all of it, the whole nine. I know we're a very divisive country today, but I'm still fascinated by the process, if you will. So last night I was invested in New Hampshire primary, not because it's funny, I'm not invested in terms of having an influence, because I can't vote in Democratic primaries because I'm not a registered Democrat. I have said many times over, I'm a registered MPA, a non-party affiliate. So I can't vote in any of the primaries. But I still have interest in what's going on. I am fascinated about what's going on. Last night, Bernie Sanders, Bernie Sanders won the primary, but also split the vote with Pete Buttigieg, 9 delegates, delegate votes, I say, 9 each. so Buttigieg actually has a 2 delegate lead over Bernie right now overall. But the goal is to get to 1,000. I think the number was 1193. I think it was the number to get to be nominated by the party. And like I said, it's obviously fascinating because it's funny. I posted on social media yesterday, get my predictions for the top 5 order of the race in New Hampshire, and I was almost dead on. The only one I got wrong was 3 and 4. I predicted that Bernie wins, Buttigieg comes second. I had Warren going third. And then Amy Klobuchar won fourth, and Joe Biden a far down fifth. I was almost right. I had got the first 2 right, and I got number 5 right. I just swapped on the global chart, and Warren I flipped out, but oh no, I was close to being correct on the money on the order of the winners last night, New Hampshire. And the guy I was supporting, really, to be honest with you, even though I can't vote, Pantry Yang, he pulled out of the race yesterday. Obviously, he didn't get any delegates, and of course, he's way down below. I think they came in last night, if I'm not mistaken. Came in last place. They got like 2% to vote in New Hampshire. But this whole thing's fascinating, man, because Bernie Sanders, say what you want, populist. He's very popular. He's this is something that I don't know. I'm fascinated by this because I'm still, like I was saying 4 years ago on this very show, that I thought Bernie Sanders had the best chance of being Donald Trump. I was saying that before Hillary Clinton was nominated as the Democrat nominee, because I think Bernie's base is very loud. I think there was a big intersection between Bernie supporters and Trump supporters, because a lot of them are disenfranchised, frustrated citizens that feel left by the elites of both Republicans and Democrats. So there was always I've always felt there was an intersection of that, and obviously it was felt to some degree in the election, because once Bernie did the nomination, there was a lot of resentment towards Hillary. A lot of people stayed home for the election because they didn't like what the two candidates had presented. Low turnout across the board, especially on the Democratic side. Many of them either voting write-in, not voting at all, voting Jill Stein, voting Gary Johnson. Some even voted Donald Trump. But I'm fascinated because, have the Democrats learned a lesson from 2016? That's the question. Bernie Sanders right now is I won't go so far as say he's a prohibitive frontrunner, but I will say, based on his talking points, and as we move forward now in the coming weeks to the Nevada primary in 2 weeks, you have the South Carolina primary, which I think is going to be huge, especially for Joe Biden. And then Super Tuesday, of course, the week after that, March 3rd. We're getting to a place now where I think Bernie's support may increase, because those places especially have a lot more of a diverse electorate, if you will. And I think the moderates, one thing you saw last night, now this is where this race is still fascinating, because Bernie did win, but the moderates did well too. If you are to believe that Buttigieg and Klobuchar are moderates, which most people believe they are, especially in comparison to the candidates on the available to vote for on the Democratic side. They polled pretty well last night. Buttigieg just lost by 2 points. Klobuchar, was right there in third, polling in 19+%. It's going to be fascinating to see when we get down to the increased states, because remember, New Hampshire and Iowa are very strong, heavily white areas. In fact, I got the number wrong. New Hampshire is actually more white than Iowa is. I thought Iowa was whiter. No, Iowa is 91% white. New Hampshire is 94% white, according to demographics. The percentage that CNN put up on their thing yesterday, on their projections and whatnot. So I do think it's a fascinating thing going on within the political sphere. I am like I said, I'm just watching, as a fan of the political process, and I don't know. I'll tell you what, the two takeaways yesterday was this from the primary. Klobuchar obviously polling as much as she did, but also crushing Elizabeth Warren. Warren has fallen. Based on the numbers, Elizabeth Warren has really fallen from grace, really, since the fall. You can say, well, the thing that happened with Bernie, her in the last debate, well, not last week, the one before that, where Bernie and Warren kind of got into it about, certain comments were made and whatnot, and her getting really frustrated and stuff. If that hurt her, I'm sure it didn't help her, but She was ready on the way down. Like, and that's the thing. That's the funny thing about this Democrat, about the not this Democrat, but especially, the primaries. Most of these candidates have their moments where they look like they're about to shine out. Like, you have Kamala had a moment last year, and then she bowed out gracefully. Warren had a moment last year, and now she's not really getting much traction. Yes, she has some delegates, but that was all won in Iowa. I am curious to see how things plays out going forward if they get closer to Super Tuesday, or there'll be over 100 delegates up for grabs in 12 states. But Joe Biden is the second takeaway, really. How bad he's polling. I think it was 4th in Iowa, 5th last night in New Hampshire. Very surprising how bad he's doing. Goes to show you, though, the media doesn't know what they're talking about. The media kept saying over and over again that he was a front runner. He was a front runner. All the polls were saying he's a front runner. And granted, we're only 2 primaries in, 2 smaller areas. Biden will probably do much better on Super Tuesday if he gets there, which I think he will, because he has less political capital to get there. But it does show you that the media says one thing, and then what plays out is different. Like, happened with Trump in 2016. Everybody was confident Hillary Clinton, despite being unpopular, was going to win the election, and they were proven wrong. But that's really the shocking point of all, is the fact that Joe Biden has not gained any traction in these first 2 weeks of the primary season right now. Obviously, it'll play out. We'll see how it plays out in the coming weeks. Obviously, the demographics are going to change a little bit now. Let's get to Nevada, into South Carolina in the next 3 weeks. And then you have Super Tuesday coming on March 3rd, which obviously, like I said, 12 states up for grabs. I believe 138 delegates, I believe. That's the number I saw last night. Maybe a little more than that. I don't know. But it's going to be a fascinating next couple of weeks. Obviously, a lot of the other candidates are starting to bow out now. Obviously, let's say Pantry Yang bowed out last night. I was actually a fan of his. I thought he was very authentic. I thought he was very very interesting guy. Michael Bennett, I think, was the other one that bowed out. I expect Tom Steyer to bow out very soon too, once we get to Nevada or South Carolina. So you'll start seeing the drop-offs from other candidates that are still in the race, technically, bow out of the race in the coming weeks. But I'm really fascinated to see what happens in the coming weeks, because, as I said, Iowa and New Hampshire is not really the best example of the Democratic voter base. They're not very diverse areas, and I don't say it insulting. I'm saying this because it's fact. Joe Biden can probably gain a lot of traction in the next 3 weeks, especially in Super Tuesday. That's why he left to South Carolina early, because I think he already knew he wasn't going to win. He wasn't going to get any delegates probably in New Hampshire. So it was probably a smart play for him to do that anyway. But anyway, that's my reaction to New Hampshire. And again, I enjoy this. This is a lot of fun. I love this time of year. People say, "Oh, politics suck," and again, that's your bag. That's cool, but I actually enjoy this stuff, man. So anyway, I'm done. We'll probably have a podcast. I think I'm planning to do on Thursday, I believe. We'll see. Anyway, talk to you guys later, and we'll talk soon. Later.